Hey y'all, it's me. It's your girl. The glow up is y'all. I was running a little late because I was trying to post this thing on Facebook. Facebook wouldn't let me be great. It just kept on just going and spinning, and I was just like, you know what? I gotta get on my live streaming. So if you do want to share it, please share this. But I hope that each and every single one of y'all are having um a great Friday. Happy Friday to everybody. Isn't it wonderful just to be able to say, you know what, we woke up this morning, God woke us up this morning. Um, and this is what we do, right? At the Glow Up is we grow to glow. So I'm always excited about being able to come in on a Friday and just to be able to encourage us, right? Because I told y'all when I'm talking to y'all, I'm talking to me, it hits me first. And it's really been a real thing for me, right? Because the messages that I've been getting just in this week in itself have literally really been hitting home in a lot of ways. I've been literally on TikTok trying to just encouraging people as well as Facebook. Because at the end of the day, right, we need each other. We're not an island by ourselves. Um, and I kind of wanted to talk to us, right? Because we've been on this love thing, right? And we've been talking about like loving yourself, being obedience, right? Um, Also, with obedience comes sacrifice, which is also love, because we said love is an action word, right? Love is action. Love is showing up, right? Because God so loved the world that He gave His only begotten Son, right? And those sacrifices that are made, even though sometimes we don't understand the sacrifices that we don't understand why sometimes we have to make these sacrifices, but they're necessary for our growth. But not only are they necessary for our growth, but they're also necessary for the harvest, right? The harvest is plenty. The harvest is plenty, but the laborers are few. So the truth of the matter is, do you want to be a laborer or do you just want to be a harvester? Do you not want to put in the work, right? So you can appreciate the process of where it is that God is taking you to, understanding, not even really grasping the whole plan, because God says, well, I know the plans that I have for you, right? Not to hurt you or harm you, right, but to give you a hope in the future. And so I'm always excited about that. And so I hope and pray that each and every single one of you are having a great Friday. I'm excited because, again, man, listen, God has given me His unfailing love. His love is just so unfailing. Even when I don't feel like I'm worthy, God just comes right on in, scoops me right on in, and just gives me this Godfidence. This Godfidence. That's a new word, right? And it was so funny because I had I had met this girl, Ashley, just in this past week, and real dope. I met her on social media, real dope girl. And she was talking about confidence, and she was just saying that, I just gotta have my Godfidence. And I said, girl, I like that. I'm gonna borrow that. She said, yeah, girl, borrow it. So I said, girl, you need to put that on a shirt or something, right? Because the biggest thing is, right, and what I'm learning more and more about me is not even just the confidence that I have in myself, but it's the Godfidence, right? Because it is the God in me that recognizes that all of this right here is just a maker, right? This is just my flesh part, the human part, right? But then I also have my spiritual side. And so my spiritual side has to be fed well, because if I take care of my spirit, right, my flesh is just going to continue to die. And I'm also going to be able to take care of myself mentally, emotionally, right? Because I have to be transformed by the renewing of my mind. And all of that is spiritual and becomes mental and emotional, right? Because there's then self-control over top of the emotions. But anyways, y'all, I just want to, because y'all know I love to empty, right? I love to empty. I love to pour. But I also want to keep it real with y'all too, right? So, I was thinking about that Godfidence. So I just had to go off on a little tangent real quick and talk about that Godfidence. But I'm always excited about what God is doing, and how He's doing it, right, in my life. And I don't even have to know the plans, right, that He has for me. But it's just a simple fact that I've learned, right, that in this life, in this thing called life, right, in order to really receive the love that God has for us, right, we have to really learn to receive the love for ourselves and then to be able to give it back, right? Um, you have to learn to love you. Love God, but also love yourself. And we have to learn some things about ourselves. And even while we're learning, right, we have to, even while we're learning to love ourselves, and allowing God to love on us, right? We have to be intentional. So this week, man, God has been dealing with me. And I was in the book of Moses this week, And I was like, Red Day. And I knew that God had given me a revelation for someone else. But then he was like, no, I want you to keep reading it too. I was like, Lord Jesus, you want me to go ahead and read this thing too. So I want y'all to go back and read Exodus 3, start at Exodus 3. It truly blessed me in a lot of ways because um, it's all about identity, right? And we've been talking about identity being in love, and we've been talking about love anyway this month because this is what it is, right? February is love month, but it's also Black History Month, right? And so Black History Month, to me, I'm always trying to show some type of, love, dedication, pouring out to Black businesses, Black owners, right? Black business owners, just supporting while I can and what I can, supporting, just young people, right? Of color, just all of it, right? Because Black is beautiful. And I think that a lot of people, man, if we don't take the time to really celebrate Black, right? Without Black there would be no other colors. Like that's the truth of the matter, right? That you can't get Black from white, but you can get white from Black. And I just think that that is awesome in itself, because you can get a whole lot of colors from Black, literally, right? And so I'm always just constantly thinking about history. I'm always constantly just thinking about, identity. And so God had been dealing with me this week, okay, when it pertains to Moses. And I'm sitting here like, what is going on with me with Moses, right? I don't feel like I'm Moses, but God was letting me know, like, sometimes we got to check ourselves, right? And we also have to figure out, because when we find out who we really are, right? Because Moses began to really figure out who he was. He was running in the beginning, right? For those of you who don't know who Moses is, Moses was basically a Hebrew. He was a Hebrew boy. And while he was a Hebrew boy, right, his mom had basically covered him up and wrapped him up, right, and put him in a basket, and he flowed down the river. And while he flowed down the river, right, Pharaoh's daughter actually um, saw him and found favor, right? She literally like took him in and raised him as an Egyptian. But in some ways, right, I can only imagine, Moses still feeling, like something is wrong, right? Something is off because what I'm saying, when you ain't right. When you ain't right. When it's something you like, man, it's something I can't put my hands on it or whatever. And I just feel like I don't fit in, right? And I really truly believe that we shouldn't fit in, right? But it wasn't until Moses was out and he got to see one of the Egyptians treating, right? One of the Hebrews, right? In a way that he hadn't, seen. And I'm pretty sure that it wasn't necessarily, I'm not gonna say it was intentional, right, for Moses to just probably, kill, right, the Egyptian, right? But it happened. And so he buried it, right? Um, and then it got to a place where, I think it really began to hit home even more so when his own people began to call him a murderer, right? So he just said, you know what, I'm going to leave. I just got to go because something ain't right here. I don't feel like I belong with the Hebrews. I don't feel like I belong with the Egyptians. I just don't feel like I belong. And so then you get to that place where, you isolate yourself and you start, living a whole nother life, you know what I'm saying? A whole new life, right? But what ends up happening is, right, when God has his hand on you, okay, and this is the thing, when God has his hands on you, he has work for you to do, right? That's just what it is. Like, it's no getting around that, right? And so Moses had to really learn to love himself, right, in all ways, and I felt like even though, God had called him, he was still trying to figure it out, right? And one of my friends, she said it so good to me the other day when she was like, healing isn't linear. It's not. Healing is one of those things, right? Where we truly do, like, it's all different types of ways that we heal, right? It's not just the one way, right? But what I do know and what I've experienced in this life, right, is that there is a such thing as deliverance, right? Your mind has to be open to that. And again, you have to learn to love yourself in order to receive the deliverance. Because if you don't really receive it and you're not looking for it and you're not seeking God, right, for the deliverance, you're not going to be able to receive it to be able to even apply it to your life, right? So that's a real thing too. And so loving yourself, learn to love yourself, because guess what? Moses had to do that. And so Moses began to do his own thing, right? And he got a whole wife out here, Um, his brother, he caught up with his brother, and he's living his life and doing what he needs to do for himself, right? But then what happens is that, when you are called again, right? God has a way of making itself known to who you are. And I thought that it was so ironic how Moses, didn't know necessarily, right, what was happening. And yet at the same time, it was still just like, man, I got an idea. I don't know who this is. I'm gonna just ask this burning bush who he is. Like, who are you? Like, what is happening over here with this burning bush? Who are you? I just think that it's so dope how God answered him and was saying that I am. Like, that is my name. My name is I am. And I think that is so ironic, right? Because, sometimes we don't get those actual audible voices anymore, right? Because we're not tapped into who we are, right? And who love is. Because if we tapped into who love is, right, then we can truly begin to really understand, right, who we are. So when Moses asked them, like, listen, hold on, you said my name is I am. He was like, yes, that's my name, right? And so we also go off of that too, right? And we talk about that in the Hebrews, and God is sitting there talking to Moses and telling him exactly what he needs him to do, and Moses making all the excuses in the world. And this is what we do, right? We make all of the excuses as to why we're not changing. We make all of the excuses as to why we're not transforming. We make all of the excuses like, God, I got to do this, I got to do that, and God gives you all an out. God gives you a whole, like, no, I'm not gonna take those excuses because I'll put this in your path. Let me give you the staff. Let me give you this. Well, God, I got this stuttering problem. Moses making all the excuses in the world. I'm gonna give you Aaron then. You know what I'm saying? You're going to do exactly what I told you to do. You're going to do exactly what I called you to do, because again, this is a part of him though, right? Learning who God is, right? Because he had to ask him, who are you, in order to really find his true identity within himself. And so then it began to be, what I talked about earlier, that Godfidence is a real thing. And so now, Moses is like, okay, all right, I'm gonna go ahead on and he's gonna do what he gotta do, right? So um I just think that it's so ironic how, we can get so caught up in, the freedom part where, he goes back to Pharaoh and he says to let my people go. I think that that's dope because, that's cool. All of that's cool, and the part of the Red Sea, all of that, and them getting to the promised land, all of that is cool. But it was just in, and I just wanted to let this sink in for a little bit about this identity. Like, because y'all, if we don't know who we are, right? And we most importantly don't know whose we are, we're gonna be lost. Like, we are not going to reap the benefits, right? Of the harvest that God has for us. Like, we're out here laboring. Like, I don't know about y'all, but listen, I go to work all the time. And I don't know whether or not if you're laboring, maybe you're laboring fruit of the spirit, right? Maybe you're laboring some patience, maybe you're laboring some kindness, maybe you're laboring some gentleness, maybe you're just out here just being good to your neighbor, right? But you can't fully do that if you're not really doing it in love, to love yourself, to learn to love yourself, right? But then to also receive that love from God, because God is giving you his love willingly, freely, okay? Regardless of what you do, regardless of how you feel about you, God's love is still there, ready for you to receive. He's there, willing and ready for you to receive him. And I'm learning more so in everything, right? Is that we have to be mindful, right? With our intent, because the truth of the matter is that God knows our motives. Like, he knows, he knows if there is some type of, you know, incentive for you to do something, right? Is this something that you want behind this? Or are you doing this because love? Yes, sis, do all things in love. Because at the end of the day, right? And this is the thing that I'm learning more so about me, right? Because I told you I could talk about me. I can talk about me. I know me. Okay. So if I can love myself and I can truly begin to really, start looking at some things like, girl, let's get this thing together. Let's try and get through this. And, because we all have experiences that we've gone through in life, right? But it's not on us to stay there. And God wants to heal us, but will we allow him to heal us? Will we allow his love, right? Because he paid for us, right? When we gave God our yes, when we said, yes, God, to your will, yes, I believe that you died for my sins and I believe that you rose again, because this is the truth of the matter, right? Is that I'm not talking to the people who don't believe. I'm talking about believers. I'm talking about real believers, right? Is that the truth of the matter is, right, is that you are responsible for your relationship with God, but you're also responsible for what it is that he's put in you. The purpose has to be fulfilled, right? And in order to learn what that purpose is, we have to learn who he is, but then we also have to learn who we are. And a lot of us are walking around lost in identity like Moses, still trying to figure it out. It's like we know, like, I know I don't blend in. I know I don't fit in. I try to fit in, but I know I don't fit in. And I know that I know that I'm supposed to be doing X, Y, Z, but I ain't doing it because I'm making all the excuses like Moses. And I found myself being like Moses. I'm sitting here like, Lord, how you gonna give me a revelation and talk about Moses? And I'm turning into Moses. This is crazy. This don't even make sense, right? And I don't know why I thought I was above Moses. I'm saying, I thought I was, like, okay, girl, your healing journey is good. You know what I'm saying? This is good. But in some areas, right, sometimes we have to go back and we see that our stuff stinks. Like we sit back and we be like, dang, girl, how I missed that. You know what I'm saying? Now it has been some things that I have been delivered from. It's been a lot of things that I have been delivered from, right? But it's also some things that I still have to heal. Like I'm still on a healing journey. And again, y'all, I'm going to shout out my friend because listen, she was like, girl, some of this stuff is just not linear. Like some of this stuff it's just going to take time for you to heal, right? It's going to take time for you, right, to get to know you and to become whole in those areas, right? But then we do have those moments where, God do, because you're willing and you're open, where God can begin to deliver you instantly and you don't even think about that stuff anymore because God can do the impossible, right? I know what that looks like. I know what that feels like. I know what it's like for God to take something from you instantly and you not go back. You not even entertain those things, right? Because my mind, right, is on God. It's not on Toya, it's on God. And because it's on God, right, I can begin to decipher and I know the difference between my voice, my flesh, what my flesh wants versus what God wants for Toya. So it's a lot of different things, right? That I got, right, out of this thing because I was just like, y'all, since we was talking about love, and I was just like, man, we've been talking about love, we've been talking about sacrifice, we've been talking about action is love. We've been talking about just being intentional, right, with love, like love is patient, love is kind. Like we've been talking about like all of the evidence, all of the traits of what love is, right? And we've been talking about like love is not a what. And in order to understand the what, we got to know who God is, right? Because God is love. And without love, there's nothing that we can do, right? To please God without love. Like only love can drive out hate, right? The enemy is sad and mad about all of these different things, right? He's mad because we're trying to figure it out. Like, do you not understand? Like the enemy gets mad at us, y'all, when we even try to put in effort to love people. Love people even in spite of themselves. Love people even when you want to cuss them out and you want to bless them with some words. Listen, I'm gonna tell you something. I'm gonna tell you something. Listen, I got people now that have literally have not reached out to me, okay, since my birthday. And it's so funny to me because they swear up and down they're my friends. But I'm like, friends don't do that. Like, we in a whole new year and you ain't even reached out, ain't said a word. Okay. And now all of a sudden you just think that you're supposed to just come back in my life and just pick up where you left off. It don't work like that, right? And I'm learning that the older that I get, the more that I'm learning, right, how deep, you know what I'm saying, what friendships really are, but I'm also learning what love is. And I think that for a while, right, When I was in my 20s, when I was in my 30s, I used to be like, well, not everybody's going to be able to, reach out. They got life going on. You got to understand this, and you got to, with friendships, you have to be intentional, right? That's the word. A friend is a friend at all times. And I'm not saying that you don't give people grace, but what I'm not going to do is abuse the grace that God has given me to give to them, right? I'm not going to abuse that. I'm not going to just, keep on making excuses for people who don't want to be a part of my life. I'm not going to continue to reach out to people, right? Who don't want me in that life. Clearly, I mean, it just takes about 2 seconds to text somebody. I mean, you're texting other people, you're doing other things, right? I even have people that literally are busy as all get out, but will literally text me and let me know, girl, I got some. I'm going to reach out to you after I get all these different things, and I still got other people that I need to reach out to before I can even get back to you. And I appreciate that. I appreciate it because what it lets me know is that, first of all, you're acknowledging me, and then on top of that, you're letting me know, like, hey, I got a lot of things going on right now, but I promise you, I'm gonna make some time for you when I do have the time, right? So you're letting me know that I haven't forgotten you. I'm just gonna go ahead on and pencil you in when I can, right? And even if you don't, that's absolutely fine too, right? Because at the end of the day, we as a people, we matter. Yes, sis. And it's about to be March, girl. Come on now. Hello, ain't even say a happy new year. None of that, right? But you stalking my Facebook page. I'm just saying it's crazy. People just gonna be weird. You know what I'm saying? But again, where I was going with this was is that our mindsets change as we get older, right? Because what worked for me in my 20s, and I always felt like this when I was in my 20s, like, I may not be around them, but I know that they still mean well. I know that they still love me. I know that they still care. I know that they, you know what I'm saying? And again, I'm not taking anything from anybody, but me getting ready to hit my 40s, it's not feasible for me. Those type of friendships don't work for me anymore. It doesn't matter how long I've known you. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how long I've known you. I want people to be consistent in my life, right? I want people to be able to check on me just as much as I check on them. And the crazy thing about it is what I'm realizing too is that, even if it's just something like through Instagram where we sending each other reels or something, that still lets me know that you're on my mind. I'm on your mind, you're on my mind, right? And I'm still sending you reels or something, right? Just to even know that you're alive. But I feel like what happens is that we have literally just been making excuses for people because they've been in our lives for so long, or because I'm a nice person, or because, I'm trying to see the good in them, right? We try to see the good in people. And then I'm not telling you that that's wrong for you to not see the good in people, right? It's cool for you to see, the good in people, but you're not God. You can't fix them. You can't do any of that. You can encourage them. Absolutely. And that's kind of what I wanted to talk about even more so is that yes, we can encourage people. We can be there for people to help support them and everything, but it's not on us to fix them. It's not on us to make them whole. Like we can't make a person whole. We can't complete a person. One is a whole number. Like y'all, this thing is really real because yes, sis, come on. You shouldn't have to look that deep to see the girl. You shouldn't have to look that deep to see the good. Because the thing is that sometimes we're in denial because we want to see the good. Like we want to see the good so badly that we just literally just trying to find because we want them to hang around. But I'm gonna tell you something. Listen, it's a beautiful thing and it feels very liberating when you allow people to just fall off. Like just fall. Just let them fall by the wayside. You pray for them and you just keep it moving. You shake the dust and you keep it moving. It is a beautiful feeling to be intentional, y'all. And I'm telling y'all this because I promise you I'm living this now. I am truly living this now. And one thing about the enemy, I'm gonna tell you something. The enemy gonna test you. He gonna try you. He gonna try you. He gonna try to bring that thing, spin that block. He gonna tell you like, let me see if you really standing firm on what you believe in. Let me see if you really standing firm on what you said you was gonna do. Okay, because I'm gonna tell you something. Listen, the other day, and I was just telling my friend, right, and you know, I have literally been intentional with my food, right? But I wanted me a Dr. Pepper, so I got a Dr. Pepper. That's what I wanted. You know what I'm saying? I have always just been that person, you know what I'm saying, where I'm gonna just tell you, like, I ain't that person. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. I'm just not going to do it, right? And so for me, I wanted a Dr. Pepper, so I went and got it. And then I wanted me a fry, right? From McDonald's. I got me a large fry. I didn't just get me a small fry. I got me a large fry, and the salt and everything was just kicking exactly the way that I needed it. And then I had taste for some chocolate peanut M&Ms, y'all, and I went and got it, the king size. I ain't get the sharing size, so I usually get the sharing size, but I got the king size, and I enjoyed every single bit of it. Okay, we listen, and we don't judge. Okay, but anyways, that's a sidebar. But I say all of that to say is that we still have to be mindful, right, of all of the things that we're doing. And it's not to say that I'm not standing on business. That was just a one-time thing for me, right? But it was good in that moment. But that's not an everyday thing for me. It used to be an everyday thing for me. I used to eat, girl. Listen, one of my friends could tell y'all, look, Toya will literally sit there and Toya gonna eat some peanut M&Ms. Toya gonna eat some peanuts or them peanut M&Ms. It's gonna be one of the two. She gonna eat them. Okay, she gonna eat a bag of them, and they're gonna be gone. She'll try to hide it for herself, but she gonna eat them. Okay. So I'm telling you this because the truth of the matter is we're growing, right? This is a part of the growth journey. This is a part of learning you, right? And being true to yourself. And so we have to have standards, right? God is the standard. Love is the standard, right? Love is the standard. But sometimes we got to show tough love, even when we don't, even when we don't want to, because listen, God shows it to us. Even when we don't want it, sometimes it don't feel good. It's uncomfortable sometimes, but we still got to do it. We still got to grow. It's necessary for God to be able to elevate us and take us to that next level. I don't know about y'all, but listen, I want everything down here that God had for me. I don't want to just get to heaven and God be like, but look, I had it down there for you, but you wanted to continue to do your own thing. You barely made it in here to heaven. Child, listen. I'm gonna tell you something. That thing be waking me up, y'all. Up out of God be waking me up out of my sleep sometimes. And sometimes it's funny because I'll just be going to sleep at 1 o'clock, right? In the morning. Sometimes I'll literally just be going to sleep at 1 o'clock or 12. My friend, I say 12, girl, 12. So about 12 o'clock, I usually go to sleep, right? And for some reason, God will wake me up at like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, God, I still got 2 more hours left. And it's like, no, I need you to get up and I need you to read. I need you to talk to me. And I'm like, okay, God, cool. So next thing you know, me and God, we start talking and we start moving, and we just start, and so that's a beautiful thing too, right? Is that because you start having that time with God and he begins to wake you up out your sleep, that's when you like, well, wait a minute, hold on. I'm really in tune. Okay. Me being intentional, and that's why I say, man, we got to be intentional with our love. We got to be intentional, with who love is. Because if we're not intentional with who love is, we're not going to understand what love is. We're not going to be able to understand how to apply the love. We're not going to be able to understand when, right? We're not going to understand none of that. We're not going to understand the when, the what, the how, none of it, because we don't know who the who is. Like love is not just a feeling, right? It's a who. Like love is God. And it amazes me so much that, I'm always continuously being fulfilled every day. And he gives us new grace, new mercy every day. Y'all do realize that we don't have to take the same grace that we had yesterday into today. Like God gave us a fresh anointing today. He gave us joy. He gave us peace. He gives us all of these different. Like I sit here and I'm thinking about the fruit of the spirit even now, right? Because I got this vision board that I did, and I was just like, you know what, God? I said, I've really literally been intentional with this vision board of mine. I truly believe that God will allow me to really be able to be full in every single one of these characteristics. Okay. Um, Patience has really been one of those things for me where I'm just like, okay, God, patience. Love is patient, love is kind. But then I also got, joy, love, peace, obedience, goodness, all of those different things, right? That's the fruit of the spirit. And so they go hand in hand, which is the love characteristics. But then the fruit of the spirit, right, is also doing the same thing. So God, I gotta just be ordered. God, you just gotta order me. You just gotta just order my steps continually, right? Because I can't do anything without God. That's what the ball that's what the root of it is. Is like that's the ballpark. It's like we can't do anything without God. We can't go out here just be out here pleasing ourselves. Like y'all, it's a real thing. Like I was literally out here pleasing myself. And I have literally just, God has been helping me even more so with that. And I'm thankful for that because I'm like, God, look at you out here helping your girl stand on business. Like, and I'm excited about it because he's rewarding me, right? What I do in private, he's rewarding me publicly. And I'm thankful for that. I am so thankful for that because what I'm recognizing and what I'm realizing is that the closer you get to God, the more that you grow, But then not only that, right? You hear his voice. You know his voice, right? You learn him. His traits begin to rub off on you. His thoughts become your thoughts, right? His ways become your ways, right? And again, y'all know I done told y'all before, I got a putty mouth. I done had a putty mouth. And I think I cussed a few times this week, but it hasn't been as bad, right? And I feel like at the end of the day, right, it is something that I know that God can deliver me from. But again, I've asked God, I don't want you to deliver it. I don't want you to deliver me from it. I want you to heal me from it, right? And I know that God can easily deliver me from it, but I don't want to be delivered, right? And I have to be willing, and I have to be open because God ain't gonna just force that on me. You see what I'm saying? That's why I said we have to seek deliverance. We have to seek it out because God will give it to you. God will definitely give it to you because with Him, all things are possible. Don't let man sit out here and tell you that it ain't possible for you to not heal, for you to become whole, because you can. But a lot of times, right, because we're so used to habits and flesh feels good, right? We make excuses. We make excuses for a lot of the things that we go through. And then some things we just go through and we just like, okay, God, have I even given it to you? Have I even mentioned this to you? God, you know my heart, right? And God does. He examines our hearts. Like He knows exactly what our heart posture looks like. And that should be scary to a lot of us, right? Just simply because He knows what's in there. He knows what we're holding, right? He knows um he knows everything. Like he just knows. And I think that that's something too, even more so that I'm learning more so too is that, God, you're doing a new thing. You're doing a new thing, not just in me, but in us. Like we are really growing to glow. Like I want to really glow. I want to glow up. I want to glow up. I want to grow up and I want to glow up. I want people to ask me, hey, the God in you, I see the God in you. I want people to be able to see that. I don't know about y'all, man, but I want people to be able to see the glow. I want people to be able to see that we're growing to glow. I want people to be able to take the mask off, right? Because I had to take the mask off. It don't feel good. It's uncomfortable sometimes. It's uncomfortable sometimes, even being in the background, right? And even me promoting this page. I don't like to promote the page. And it's so funny because people tell me that all the time. And I'm like, well, the people that's supposed to grab it. But one of my friends is like, girl, I'm about to bless you with a whole new podcast, like to the point where this whole thing right here is about to blow up. So I'm just like, okay, girl, whatever. You know what I'm saying? So I'm learning to even receive gifts from people because I'm learning me. I'm learning that I like gifts. I don't think it's so funny because I've never been one of those people that like gifts, right? But I'm learning myself more so. But I actually like gifts. I think that's a real thing for me. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, I love gifts. I love not for me, like for me. You know what I'm saying? So it's funny because again, I ain't never been that type of person that like gifts, and I'm starting to learn that I like gifts. I love words of affirmation. I love that because, I love words and I know that words are powerful, right? Because we can speak life or we can speak death. And so, speaking period is always just been one of those things for me where I've always loved it. And so, anyways, y'all, I've been on here with y'all for 33 minutes now. Yeah, I know I usually like to keep y'all for about 30 minutes. I try not to keep y'all over time, but 35 minutes ain't bad at all. Yes, sis, we're always evolving. Yes, we are. And we got to constantly evolve, right? We got to constantly allow God to take the wheel. Like, y'all, I'm not afraid to say it. Listen, I like to drive sometimes. I don't like God to drive, but I'm learning to give him that will and really let him take control because I don't know. I don't know what's ahead, but he does. And because he does, I trust him. Like tomorrow has enough worry of itself. Stop worrying about tomorrow. Be present in today. Listen, it's a beautiful thing when you are present today. Being present in the day is an amazing gift from God. He woke you up this morning. He started you on your way. You smiling, I'm smiling. Maybe you're not smiling as much, but listen, you're here. So we got a lot to be thankful for. We got a lot to be grateful for, right? Gratitude, full gratitude. And his love for us, man. Nothing can separate us from the love of God. Nothing can separate us from the love of God. Not what you did last night. Nope, not that sin. Not none of it. None of it. None of it can separate you from the love that he has for you. God still wants you. He loves you. He needs you, right? He's just like, listen, I want you. I don't even just need you. I want you. I want you on my team. I want you, daughter, right? I want to become your father. Let me love you in the way that you desire, that I need for you to be desired, right? I want to affirm you. I want you to know what you're worthy of. I want you to know your value, right? I don't want you to go out here trying to figure it out. I want to define you. I want to identify with you, right? I want my identity to become your identity. I want you to know that you are of a royal priesthood, right? I want you to know that you are an heir to the throne. I want you to know that you are the head and not the tail, that you are above and not beneath. I want you to know that you are not the underdog. You've never been the underdog. I want you to know that you have the victory already. Like I want you to know that you always win, that you never lose. That's a real thing. We never lose. We never lose. And I was just like, God, look at you. I'm a winner. I'm a winner. I'm a winner. I'm a winner. I'm a winner always. I'm a winner always, right? And it doesn't matter. And so, anyways, y'all, I just wanted to get on here, man, on today to encourage y'all. We got this, right? Because that's what we do at the Glow Up is we grow to glow. And I'm excited about, just us ending next week on this love thing, right? And talking about just wrapping it up on love, right? We're gonna wrap it up on love, but I'm excited about it because we talked about the obedience of love, the fruit of love, right? What does love look like? Love not being a what, right? It's beyond that. It's a who, right? Love is a who. And then tonight, like loving on yourself, right? Loving on yourself, learning to love who God is, right? But learning to love who you are in identity. And we talked about Moses on the night, like how Moses was really literally out here struggling, trying to figure out who he was. You know what I'm saying? Knowing that he didn't fit in. But at the same time, he had to learn to love himself. And it was when he began to love himself and when God began to affirm him, right, that he could begin to walk in his purpose and that he was okay because he got that Godfidence and he was able to go and step to Pharaoh in the first place because he had earned with him. He had a whole squad with him. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, listen, God, when God do things, he do it so good, like literally. And all I'm gonna say is this, right? And then I'm gonna let y'all go. Seek ye first the kingdom of heaven and all of its righteousness, and all of these things shall be added unto you. That is something that I live by. I'm not living by it because I'm literally just seeking and praying that God is just gonna add things to me. No, God is adding those things that belong to me. Those rightful things that belong to me, those things that he told me that I could have before I was even a thought, before I was even Latoya, right? Because my identity was already in him because he knew who I was before I was in my mother's womb. Listen, God says this. This is God. God knows you in and out. You can't fake it for God. God sees it. And whatever is done in the dark, it's going to come to light, honey. That's what I'm telling you. You can't shake it. You can't get away from it because this is what God does. God literally reveals us. And sometimes he got to reveal us to ourselves. Like, because sometimes we don't even realize that our stuff stink. Listen, I'm going to tell you. I'm going to tell you because I've been there. I've been there and I know. And I know. But again, we're steadily evolving. We're steadily evolving. We're steadily growing to glow. But anyways, y'all, I'm going to see y'all next week. I love y'all so much. Please share this video if you know that somebody really needs to be encouraged, and they're struggling with identity, and receiving love, right, from themselves and from God. Like if they don't really know what love is, share this video. Let them know, like, man, listen, God loves you. God loves you. Make that thing personal. God loves you. Yeah, he loves you, sis. He loves you, bro. Yeah, he loves you. He listen, you watching this, he loves you. That means that you still got some purpose left. We still got some purpose left. So, anyways, I love y'all. I'm gonna see y'all next week. This is what we do, right? At the Glow Up is right. We grow to glow. I'm your auntie, I'm your pusher, I'm your coach. And I'm gonna see y'all next week. I love y'all. All right, y'all. Bye.